Hello everyone, and welcome to another random bits and pieces segment from my brain. And today, sit a while, for we are playing some more Franchise Hockey Manager 6 as part of the Ottawa Senators. So, as promised, today is the second video of two that I am going to be recording. Not a lot of game action per se, it is off-season, so as is tradition for me, I am going to go through the news that I got since the end of the playoffs up to now, and we're gonna go through the off-season. First of all, I scored 28 points for last season, mainly for finishing first in the division, having a winning percentage over 600 and making the playoffs. So that gives me a total of 67 points so far. There's been a few trades and some retirements, one of which I kind of called. The two trades I find interesting, not because they are for, you know, super good players, but because I felt that in both trades one of those two teams got fleeced a little. So first we have the Stars and the Islanders, who decided to make a deal. So the Stars are sending Mikael Anderson and Jeff McMillan to the Islanders for Jochen Hecht. So obviously Dallas is getting the better player here. So Dallas did win this trade. Good for them. They probably need it. And there was a second trade right before July 1st where Carolina sent Valery Karpov and Dan Lekutzer to Phoenix for Ruslan Saleh and Mike Minard. Saleh is the best player in that trade. It's not even close. So I think Carolina got the upper hand. Alright, and then July 1st came, so that means retirement. As you can see, the Bruins are losing basically an entire line worth of players that were assuredly in their top 9, so they're gonna need to fix some things there. So Jeff Brown in St. Louis decided to retire. He's 34, Logan's dad. Jeff Courtnall in Vancouver decided to retire. He is 37. Gary Galley in Philadelphia retires. He is 37 as well. Joey Juneau retires. He's only 32, but he was declining quite a bit. He was only a star-and-a-half player anymore. So he is retiring. Norm McIver decided to retire. I didn't offer him a contract, and I guess he decided that he was going to call it quits. So 35 years old, Norm McIver retired. Cam Neely retires at 35 as well. And Adam Oates retires at 37. Also, I did extend Steve Weeks' contract, my goalie coach. I extended him, and I had a scout that also wanted to stay, so I extended him. And my mandate this year is to make the playoffs. Thing is that I have a budget of $34 million, and I am at $32 million for salaries already. So as you will see, I am offering contracts to my rookies that are 20 years old, and that's it. I am not making offers to any free agents this year. I kind of like my team anyway. Granted, I'm gonna lose players here because if you're looking at the screen, you're gonna see that that's the year that the Columbus Blue Jackets and Minnesota Wild enter the league, so there's gonna be an expansion draft. I'm gonna lose some players there, so I might maybe make a pickup or two to make up for that. But all in all, that's gonna be pretty much it. I took a look, and there's a couple interesting players, but there's nothing like in the previous years where I, you know, just snagged Shara and, you know, Datsuk and all of that stuff. So there were a few interesting names, but nothing like that. So there was another trade too between Calgary and Montreal. So Kyle McLaren and Mathieu Garon are going to Calgary for Scott Lachance and Brian Weisenberg. Kyle McLaren is probably the best player in that trade, so Again, Calgary probably got the upper hand, which makes me happy because Montreal is in my division. So the weaker they get, the better it is for me. Alright, so Columbus picked up Dave Taylor as their GM, so that's going to be their first GM, and Tom Rennie is going to be the coach. And then Minnesota went with Jeff Gorton as their GM. He must be really young. How old is Jeff Gorton? 42, okay. As their GM, and Walt Kyle is their coach. I can't say I'm familiar with that guy. I don't even know if he's real or not. Yeah, he's, you know, equal all across the board. He may be real. I'm just not familiar with the name. Alright, so among the those are my players that are hitting 20 years old, so I offer them contracts. So Mike Fisher, pretty good player. Karel Rakunik might become okay, and then Julien Vauclair and Mathieu Chouinard I'm not expecting all that much out of. I guess we'll see though. So those are my rookies getting a contract, and the only player that joined the team as a free agent is here, Greg Zan. So not a world beater for sure. So the team is going to be very similar to last year's team. I'm not making any more too many changes, in part due to me not having all that much money. You can see my salary here is 30 million, and that's only, you know, who's on the team right now. So yeah. We're going to need to be careful with our money spent here. We have a budget of 34 millions, and once I give those contracts to my rookies, I won't have a lot of room left to play with. Which is a shame. I would have loved to maybe bolster my D a little bit, but it is what it is. Alrighty, so we're here. I didn't make any other offers, so sorry, folks. This off-season is a little bland. Then again, I have a pretty decent team, so. Alright, so let's advance that. We're going to be going into the expansion draft here soon. So we have to go through that again. So I'm going to protect Mike Dunham. He had a really good season for us, and you know, whatever happens at this point. I need to protect 5D, so Shara gets protected for sure. That's one. I want to keep Sheldon Sorey. He's okay for us. That's 2. 3 with Brian McCabe. I guess I'm gonna protect Roman Amerlik. That's 4. I'm gonna think on the 5th one for now. Hopefully on forwards it won't be too complicated. So Johnny Van Dyke, you're being protected. Daniel Alfredson, you're being protected. Yashin, protected. Osa, protected. Datsuk, protected. And 4 more forward that I need to keep. I guess at this point I'm going to keep Bill Guerin. I like Matt Cullen, he can stay. I like Mike Sillinger as well. Now he's hurt, but he's going to come back one day. And just like last year, I think I'm going to be hesitating between keeping Arvidsson or Dackel. Those poor two guys. Yeah, Arvidsson really didn't have a good season. Well, neither did Dackel. Dackel is younger. I'm going to protect him. Alright, one more D. Alright, so I have Brian Berard. He's probably the most obvious choice. I'm gonna keep Chris Phillips. I'm feeling sentimental. We just retired his jersey yesterday, I guess. He has a decent potential. Maybe he deserves a shot to play this year, actually. Alright, so I'm pretty sure they're gonna take one of my goaltenders anyway. Well, there's two, so I'm probably gonna lose two players here. Well, I do have a couple good players that can be taken. I mean, Derek Morris has a decent potential. So does Brian Berard. Oh man. Should I keep Brian Berard or Chris Phillips? I'm gonna go with Phillips. Berard probably has a better offensive output, but thing is that even with the development, using the game's development engine, players tend to follow their career path a lot. Not always, but it's usually pretty close. And Brian Berard had that injury where he lost an eye, and I'm afraid that he's going to be dropping off a cliff, like for no real reason at that point. It might not happen. I'm aware of that. He's probably gonna get taken. I'm taking the risk. That's on me. Phillips is 1 year younger. We'll see what happens. Too late now. It's done. Alright. So, Fisher, Vokla, Schwinnar, Rakunek, I'll acknowledge that I made them an offer. Alright, so let's see how that draft goes for the Wild and the Blue Jackets. Ooh. So the Wild picked Jose Theodore. Probably a good pick. Columbus picked Manny Fernandez. Wow, the Trashers are getting trashed, I guess. They are getting picked alive. Alright, the Wild picks Patrick Lalime. Manny Legacy goes to Columbus. Tommy Salo goes to the Wild, so I'm losing Tommy Salo. I'm okay with that. Dwayne Roloson goes to Columbus, so Dwayne Roloson goes to the opposite expansion team that he played for in his career. Right, so I still have one player to lose. Who is it gonna be? Ooh, Steve Duchesne is going to the Wild. So the Kings didn't protect him. They didn't protect Paul Coffey. Of course, Paul Coffey is 39, so Paul Coffey goes to Columbus. Interesting. Darius Kasparidis goes to the Wild. Brett Hedican goes to Columbus. Jason Smith goes to the Wild. Jason Woolley goes to Columbus. Jason Woolley had that hat-trick at the end of last season. Jamie Eward goes to the Wild. Oh, Wade Redden goes to Columbus. Wow. Of course, I'm a Sens fan, so I know all about Wade Redden. I lost Mike Ratchie. You know what? That's not the end of the world. If that's my second player that I lost, Mike Ratchie goes to the Wild. Sean O'Donnell goes to Columbus. Jason York to the Wild. Steve Staios to Columbus. Steven Alco to the Wild. Matthias Norstrom to Columbus. Ian Moran to the Wild. Drake Berehowski to Columbus. Alright, surely they're going to start picking up forwards now. Yeah, Scott Pellerin goes to the Wild. Dave Laurie to Columbus. So they're going with some older guys right now. I think they've picked quite a mix. There's guys in their 20s there and a couple of veterans. Of course, you know, 39-year-old Paul Coffey is probably going to be the oldest guy that's being picked. Scott Young goes to the Wild. Adam Denmarsh, oh, pretty good little player there, goes to Columbus. Bob Rand goes to the Wild. Craig Darby to Columbus. Turner Stevenson to the Wild. Craig Janney to Columbus, the veteran. Andrei Kovalenko goes to the Wild. Ross Courtnall goes to Columbus. Gary Volk to the Wild. Martin Lapointe to Columbus. Oh, Alexander Daigle was not qualified or protected by Toronto. He goes to the Wild. Actually, Daigle did play for the Wild in real life. Chris Simon goes to Columbus. Yves Sarro goes to the Wild. Antti Laaksonen goes to Columbus. Grant Marshall goes to the Wild. Scott Fraser to Columbus. Raimo Elmanen to the Wild. Craig McDonald from goes to Columbus. Alright, there's only 8 picks left, 4 rounds left. Eric Daze goes to the Wild. Ty Domi to Columbus. Patrick Lebeau to the Wild. Paul Eisenbart to Columbus. Todd Fiedoruk to the Wild. Steve Carrea to Columbus. 2 more picks for each team. Dan Kessa to the Wild. Steve Guola to Columbus. And finally, Valery Karpov, freshly acquired by Phoenix, goes to the Wild. And James Black, the last player pick, goes to Columbus. So we lost Tommy Salo and Mike Ratchie. Not the end of the world, actually. I probably would have liked for them to pick one of Robert Cron or German Titov, but that's okay. I do have a lot of D-man, so losing a D-man doesn't hurt me all that much. Alright, so yeah, we're gonna get that to that point where I'm gonna need to get everybody called up. Then I'll have to decide on my lineup from there. Alright, so for the very first time since I started this playthrough, 8 years ago, 9 years ago now, we are not going after any free agents at all right now. So we are going to be simming, and let's see how many, well, I don't, 34 contracts. If I add the 4 guys that I just sent offers to because they're my rookies, that's going to bring me to 38. And then I might pick up a guy or 2 on waivers at the start of the season. So, yeah. Alright, Mathieu Chouinard signed the deal. And he wants number 46. You know what? You can have it, buddy. There you go. Alright, Karel Rakonik signed. Good job. He wants number 3. You can have it, buddy. Nobody has it. Although I think you had number 23 when you played for the Sens, if I remember correctly. We're talking 19 years ago-ish. So cut me a little bit of slack if I am wrong on that one, but I'm pretty certain that he was wearing number 23. Alright, Fisher signed. Of course, we know what number he had. 12, Julien Vauclair. He played 1 game in the NHL. I do not remember what number he wore for that 1 game. Yeah, Fisher can have number 12. I'm good with that. And of course, you can't have number 3. I just gave it to that other guy, so you can have 43. Alright, so yeah, Mike Selinger is still going to take 3 to 4 months to come back from injury, so he might not even be ready for the start of the season. Oh, there was a trade here between the Red Wings and the Oilers. Ooh, Lonnie Loach, former Ottawa Senators, still a star and a half. Hey, he did get 37 points last season. Of course, Detroit is pretty boosted, but still, 37 points, not bad at all. So Lonnie Loach and Mark Fitzpatrick are going to Edmonton for Sean Podine. Wow, so 2 former Ottawa Senator players got traded for each other. Oh, sorry, I've been a little bit silent. There wasn't a whole lot going on. So now there's been a trade between the Mighty Ducks and the Thrashers. So 2 rather new teams trading. Oh, so Nicholas Avlid goes to Atlanta for Adam Graves and Garnet Exelby. Huh. This is a very interesting trade, I think. Okay. Alright, development report. So that one at the start of August is usually very short. So we don't have a whole lot going on here. Uh-oh, Johnny Van Dyke is getting worse and worse. Doug Wilson is going into the Hall of Fame. Randy Carlyle goes to the Hall of Fame. Pierre LaRouche goes to the Hall of Fame. And Bobby Smith. There you go. All right. Not a whole lot going on during the off-season. Unless there's a trade. I'm surprised it's not Magnus Arvidsson that I lost. He's still a 2-star player. Wow, there's absolutely nothing going on. Not even somebody that's... Not even somebody that's helping a friend move or anything. Wow, we went the entire month of August without absolutely anything going on. Alright, so this one here should be pretty decent. Ugh. Oh, Andrew Hutchinson is getting a lot better. Alright, so we are about to approach, or about to be at the start of preseason. Our first game is going to be in New Jersey against the Devils. They are probably still pretty good. Right, 1 to 2 months left for Mike Sillinger. Aha, there's been a trade. Oh, the Islanders trade Alexander Kavanagh. They just got him in a trade. Alright, so Matthias Timander and Tero Mata from the Sharks go to the Islanders for Alexander Kavanagh. So Kavanagh is a star-and-a-half defenseman. Yeah, same for Matthias Timander. Yeah, not the trade of the century. I think it's a pretty even trade. Oh, starting to get scouting reports again. Alright, in just a few days we are going to play our first preseason game of 2000 for the 2000-2001 season. Wow, it's going to be, at this rate, it's going to be a little bit of a shorter video today. Alright, that's the good one. That's the one we really want to look at. Oh, look at all those pluses everywhere. Zdeno Chara, look at him getting so much better. 2.5 stars now. Ivan Ciernik, okay. Matt Cullen, Gilles, Pavel Datsyuk, Martin Avlet, Matt Fair. Oh god, Hutchinson again. With how is he still only an alpha star player? That's another. Ooh, Joe Thornton. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Alright. Looking pretty good. Looking pretty good over there. So I am going to be recalling everybody. I apologize. I know that it's not necessarily very fun. Come up, Brad Bombardier. If you play well, you might take Mike Radji's spot. You're kind of the same type of player. Oh, you're already up. Where was I? Niemi up. Also, Chris Phillips is also that kind of player, so he might be the one staying. Might have to go with whoever has the best training camp at that point to help me figure it out. Sillinger's just hurt. Come on, Chris Neal, come and fight somebody in preseason to try to earn yourself a spot. Alright, so we are playing the Devils in the first preseason game. We can take a look at them. So, of course, they have Marty Brother in net. They don't have another goaltender for some reason on the roster. I guess they don't need one. When you have Marty Brother, you don't need nobody else. Scott Stevens. Colin White, not to be mistaken with Colin White, who plays on the Sens currently. He was a defenseman. Defensive defenseman. Tommy Albeline. Per Juice, who used to play for us. Sean Hill, who played for us very briefly. Nick Boynton, Scott Niedermeyer, and Brian Rafalski. That D is pretty okay, and they have really good goaltending, obviously. Patrick Eliash, Josef Bisek, Steve Sullivan, Bobby Elick, Brian Rolston, John Madden, Eric Rasmussen, Scott Gomez, Tony Amante, Brian Gianta, Claude Lemieux, Scott Walker, Peter Sicker, and Dean Sylvester are the forwards. So it's okay. Their offense is probably not the scariest one, but it's pretty well balanced, I would think. Alright, so let's play the Devils. Alright, Bonhomme against Brother. And we won 2-1. First preseason game is won. So we outshot them 51-33. Brother was the first star of the game with 49 saves despite the loss. Claude Lemieux was the second star. He had a goal. And then Sheldon Souray for us, third star with a goal. So Sheldon Souray opened the scoring short-handed from Andreas Dackel and Marian Osa. It was 1-0 for the Sens after 1. Then we traded goals in the second. Lemieux scored, and then Brad Larson with the goal, the game winner, assisted by Arvidsson and Nieuwendyk, and 2-1 was our final score. Great. Brettel keeps fans on their feet all night. Oh yeah, he had 3 goals and an assist against Tampa Bay. 36 years old, Brettel still with the Blues. Oh boy, okay, so I have to give all of those guys numbers. Alright, Brad Bombardier, get number 8. It's retired, but the game doesn't seem to know that. Alright, so you would like number 6. I can't give number 6 to you, so you can have number 66. How about that? Take that, Mario Lemieux. Oh, Ryan Miller would like to have number 30, but it's taken by Mike Dunham. How about you wear number 31? Chris Neal would prefer to have number 25. Yeah, I'm not going to give you Joe Nieuwendyk's number, so you are going to start your career with number 26. Alright, you can have number 24. Nobody has 24 yet. Derek Morris would like to have number 53. Nobody has that. There you go. Mark Morrow would like to have number 3. Yeah, well, I would like for you to have number 45 and be happy that you have a number. Tim Thomas would like to have number 34. Here, I have number 35. You would like number 7. I can't give you number 7. I can give you number 77. There you go. Be happy. Alright, the tedious is over. I apologize for that. It is sadly something I have to go through every year. Alright, so we are hosting the Anaheim Ducks. Or Mighty Ducks. They're not the Ducks just yet. They're still the Mighty Ducks. They are still Disney's property. So, we are going to take a look at their roster. So they still have Felix Potvin in net. They have had him since they drafted him in the expansion draft. So Potvin and Jamie Storr in net, Jean-Jacques Daigneault, John Slaney, Oleg Tverdovsky, Vitaly Vishnevsky, Darian Hatcher, Robert Zvela. Hi, Robert Zvela. Richard Schmelik, David Warnka, and Francis Bouillon on D. So that D is okay. The goaltending is okay as well. Not the best, but it's okay. Adam Graves, Craig Johnson probably, Alexei Smirnov, Chad Kilger, Olmquist, Ruchin, Wright, Andy McDonald, David Ling, Trent Hunter, Paul Carriot, and Ron Quist. At forward, that's not that great. Couple good players, but that's about it. Go Sens go! Oh, Ryan Miller is going to play. He's going to face Jamie Storr. And we won 42. We were outshot 41-26 in that one. Ivan Ciernik was the first star of the game. He had a goal and an assist. David Ling was the second star with an assist. And Ryan Miller, third star, 39 save performance. We had 9,353 people in attendance. We traded goals in the first period. Chad Kilger scored first for Anaheim, and then Ciernik tied it, assisted by Chris Phillips. It was 1-1 after one. We then traded goals in the second as well. This time we scored first with Peter Shastlevy on the power play from Alfredson and Joe Thornton. Then Adam Graves tied it up, and then the Sens would score 2 goals in the third period. Alfredson from Yashin and Mike Fisher in an empty net from Ciernik and Julien Vauclair. So that's another win in preseason. I don't put too much stock in those, but that's still nice to win. Nolan Baumgartner has a memorable game. He had a goal and 4 assists against San Jose. So Nolan Baumgartner playing for Vancouver. Alright. Oh, I'm curious to see. So our next game is against LA, and they had like those 2 defensemen picked in the expansion draft, Steve Duchesne and Paul Coffey. So now I'm kind of interested to see what they have on D. So in net they have Byron Dufour and Kelly Rooney. That's fine. And then as far as Demon go, they have Andreas Lilia, Joe Carvo, František Kaberle, Alexei Zitnik, Rob Blake, Brad Lukovic, Kim Ottimonen, and Lubomir Wisnowski. Yeah, they're fine. They didn't need Paul Coffey and Steve Duchesne anymore. With what they have there, they are plenty fine. Granted, Wisnowski is not developed yet, and same for Joe Corvo, but yeah. Mike Eastwood, Derek King, Luke Robitaille, Vladimir Tsiplikov, Jamie Baker, former Ottawa Senator, 1-star player, Wayne Gretzky, 39 years old, 3.5 stars still, Yannick Lehoux, Robert Lang, Sean Pronger, Sean Van Allen, Eric Bélanger, Brad Chartrand, and Wes Walls. So the offense is okay. That D is pretty good. So I'd say the Kings have a pretty decent team. That's going to make one of you happy, at least. So we have Mike Dunham in net and Byron Dafoe for LA. And we won 4-2. And we outshot the Kings 51-25. Bill Guerin was the first star of that game. He had 2 goals. Wes Walls, second star with an assist. And Sheldon Surrey, third star with 2 assists. So we open up the scoring. Chris Neal from Sheldon Surrey and Pavel Datsyuk. And then Sean Pronger was the guy that tied it up at the end of the first period. So we were tied at 1. And the Kings actually took a 2-1 lead with Mike Eastwood scoring in the second, but the Sens would score 3 unanswered in the third period. Bill Guerin on the power play from Marian Osa and Sheldon Surrey. Then Guerin again on the power play from Alexei Yashin. And finally Roman Amerlik on the power play yet again from Marian Osa and Joe Thornton. So looks like our power play made them pay. Yeah, look at that. It was all Kings players taking penalties in the third period. So we made them pay for their indiscipline. Vincent Lecavalier has a great game. He had 4 assists against the Rangers. Lecavalier is 3 stars now, so he's going to start to show up in those a little bit more. Dmitry Ristich keeps fans on their feet all night. He had 3 goals and an assist against Columbus. So 31-year-old Dmitry Ristich with a great game. Now we are playing the Florida Panthers. So the Panthers have been struggling pretty much since they have entered the league. So let's see. Well, they have a weakness everywhere, according to this. And their outlook is to win now. Good luck. Oh, and Bill Older came up with too many donuts in his belly. He's unfit. That's probably not going to help. Yeah. The two best players on that team are Sergei Samsonov and John Van Beesbrook at 2.5 stars each. Yeah, that's going to be a tough year in Florida, I think. So John Graham and John Van Beesbrook in net. Steve Bancroft, Kenny Johnson, Bill Older. Is it Cody Allen? Chris Allen. Bobby Dallas, Carl Dykhouse, Neil Youngman on D. That's really not all that great. Mike Brown, Andrei Bashkirov, Sergei Samsonov, Tony Herkus, Mats Lindgren, Jamal Mayers, Serge Payet, Green, Nilsson, Corkum, Schvidke, Shellberg, Johnson, and Uzelius. Yeah. That's I think it's going to be a tough season again in Florida. They can't seem to like attract good free agents or make a good trade or something. Ryan Miller in net for us. We are going against John Van Beesbrook. And we won 6-3. We outshot them 31-29. Sheldon Sourie was the first star of this game. He had 2 goals. Daniel Alfredson was the second star with a goal and an assist. And Alexei Yashin, third star, a goal and an assist as well. So we scored 3 unanswered in the first. Yashin scored from Alfredson. Then Sourie from Viborny and Kron. Then Sheldon Sourie again from Dackel and McCabe. Then Sergei Samsonov scored on the power play to make it 3-1 Ottawa after 1. Then we traded goals in the second. Patrick Shellberg scored. It was 3-2 Ottawa at that point. And then Alfredson scored from Osa and Yashin, so it was 4-2. Then Bob Corkum scored on the power play, make it 4-3, but then we scored 2 more goals. Johnny Van Dyke from Joe Thornton and Derek Morris short-handed from Shara and Matt Cullen in an empty net. And that was it, 6-3, the final score. Open Ice leads to productive night for Jaromir Jagr, who had a goal and 4 assists against Atlanta. Pretty good game. Memorable night for Mark Smith in Philadelphia, who had a hat-trick, 3 goals against Carolina. And good game for Steve Yzerman, who had 4 assists against the Edmonton Oilers. So Steve Yzerman is 35. He's not a 5-star player anymore. He's a 4-star player. Still pretty good, I am sure. Alright, so we are playing the Devils again in preseason. We just played them, so I looked at their roster and everything already. So let's just do this. They're going with Martin Brodeur. We're going with Mike Dunham. And we won again, so we still haven't lost in preseason. We outshot them 33-27. Alexei Yashin, first star, 2 goals and an assist. Sheldon Sourie, second star with 2 assists. And Bill Guerin, third star, a goal and an assist. 10,171 people in attendance because the game was in Ottawa. So we open up the scoring in the first. Alexei Yashin on the power play scored from Bill Guerin and Pavel Datsyuk. Then Per Juice, former Ottawa Senator, tied the game from John Madden, but McCabe scored, assisted by Sourie and Yashin. Sourie's playing pretty good in preseason. And then Yashin on the power play from Datsyuk and Sourie as well. So it was 3-1 Ottawa at that point, and Bill Guerin scored again in the third from Matt Cullen and Andreas Dackel. It was 4-1 Ottawa, and that score held. There was no stopping Adrian Aucoin, who plays for Pittsburgh in my universe. He had 3 goals and an assist against Tampa Bay. Pretty good game for the defenseman. Alright, So Ryan Miller is day-to-day, so he's not going to be playing probably. And now we have 2 games in 2 days, in Edmonton and in Montreal, before we start the season on the road in Boston. Alright, so we are playing Edmonton. Let's take a look at their roster. Oh, that guy is unfit. Paul Flackey. I cannot say I am familiar with that name. He must not have played a whole lot in the NHL for me to not even recognize his name. So, yeah, well, he's an alpha star player and potential. Mathieu Garon and Roman Turek in net. Okay. And then Benaisek, Kim Janssen, Patrick Travers that played Rocky. Guy that I don't know. Luke Richardson, Mark Matteau on D. That's not a great D. Josef Baranek, Lonnie Loach, Scott Mellenby, Miroslav Shatan, Ryan Smith, Jason Arnott, Richie Devereaux, Jason Shimura, Kelly Buckberger, Chris Clark, Kirk Malby, Trent McCleary, Joe Murphy, and Sean Orkoff. So, okay forward, okay goaltending. That D's a little weak. And that's the team, isn't it, Edmonton? That, no, never mind. I am confused. Oh, Ryan Miller's going to play even though he's hurt. He's going to face Mathieu Garon in net. And we won 4-1. We outshot Edmonton 49-23. Joe Nieuwendyk was the first star. He had 2 assists. Bill Guerin, second star with an assist. And Zdeno Chara, goal, 3rd star. Alright, so we took a 2-0 lead in the first. Dackel from Brad Larson, and then Brian McCabe from Joe Nieuwendyk. 2-0 Ottawa after 1. Then we traded goals in the second. Zdeno Chara from Alfredson and Guerin. And then Ryan Smith scored. It was 3-1 Ottawa after 2. And then in the third, Marian Osa scored on the power play from Joe Nieuwendyk. Strong game for Todd Bertuzzi. He had a hat-trick, 3 goals against Pittsburgh. Pretty good. Still in Long Island for Todd Bertuzzi. Al McInnes has a memorable game. He had 4 assists against Vancouver. So Al McInnes is 37 and he's still a 3.5-star player. So he's still pretty capable. Chris Chelios is out of the lineup. He is day-to-day. And oh, I'm going to take a screenshot of this, because that's the email that has that mistake in it where it says he sustained the injury in the game against the Atlanta Thrashers at period. So it doesn't say like where or anything. So, all right, I'm going to add that to my post on the forums. Hopefully they're going to look at that. So Chris Chelios day-to-day. Seems to me that Chris Chelios always has a bobo somewhere every season. Him and Brian Leach seems like they always get a little hurt. Alright, so last preseason game is going to be against the Montreal Canadiens. So arch rival in the division. So let's go ahead and take a look at how they look like now after, you know, free agency and the expansion draft. So, of course, they still have Patrick Roy in net because they never traded him. He is 34 and he is still a 5-star goaltender. Steve Passmore is going to be his backup this year. Then they have Andrei Markov, Ray Giroux, Scott Lachance, Mathieu Schneider, Eric Desjardins, Ed Jovanovski on D. So that D, for the most part, is pretty good. Sergei Berezin, Yuri Dopita, John Leclerc, Brian Savage, Scott Thornton, Vincent Anfous, Chris Drury, Sekou Koivu, Brian Holzinger, Pascal Rion, Todd White, Yannick Dubé, PJ Axelson, Mike Keane, and Sergei Zoltak. Not a lot of superstars up front, but it's a pretty well-rounded offense, I would say. So again, I believe that Montreal is probably going to be a pretty good team in the division. We're going to go with Mike Dunham for that one. They are sending Steve Passmore. Are we going to go undefeated in the preseason? We did, so we went 7-0 in the preseason. If that's, you know, an indication of how the season's gonna go, I'm fine with it. But again, I don't put too much stock in it. So I guess we are going to find out later. So let's see. We outshot them 43-25. Marian Osa was the first star. He had a goal and an assist. Saku Koivu was the second star with an assist, and Alexei Yashin third star with a goal and an assist. So Osa scored first from Yashin and Dackle. Then Ray Giroux tied it up at 1. Joe Thornton in the second scored from Robert Cron. And then in the third, Alexei Yashin on the power play from Nieuwendyk and Marian Osa, and it was 3-1. And that was the final score. Scouting report, okay, and oh, that's good. Mike Salinger he's returning to practice, so about 2 weeks, and he's gonna be back in the lineup. So he's gonna miss about, I would say, let's see, about what, 5 games, maybe 4 games. We do have like a week off here, so yeah, he's gonna maybe miss only 2 games actually. That would be good. Alright, so this is where we are. As usual, I don't go any further here because tinkering with the lineup is kind of boring and long a little bit, because I take notes on a sheet of paper and whatnot, so I am not going to do that on screen. As usual, I will show you my final lineup to start the season with, and then we're going to see if I pick up some waivers at the start of the season. I usually pick 1 or 2, so we'll see. So this is where we are at. We are undefeated in the preseason. Our confidence is sky high. The world belongs to us, and hopefully the Stanley Cup at the end of this year. So that's where I'm stopping. So as usual, thank you for tuning in. If you've liked the video, feel free to like and subscribe. That's always appreciated. And until I roll this game again, see you guys next time. Thank you.